Tonight, let me tell you a quiet story, a story meant to be listened to, not followed. If your thoughts begin to drift, that is exactly where they are meant to go. Long ago, in a village where the nights were gentle and the stars seemed close enough to touch, there lived a lantern keeper. Each evening, just as the sky softened into deep blue, the lantern keeper would begin her walk. The village was small, made of stone cottages, wooden doors, and narrow paths that curved like quiet thoughts. During the day, the village was ordinary, but at night it became something else entirely. Windows glowed softly, curtains breathed with the evening air, and the village listened. The lantern keeper moved slowly, never rushing, never late. In her hand she carried a single lantern. Its light was warm, steady, kind. No one remembered when she first arrived. Some said she had always been there. Others believed the village had created her because it needed her. She knew every stone, every door, every sleeping home. As she walked, the lantern keeper moved slowly, never rushing, never late. The light followed her steps, stretching softly across the ground. Dogs slept more deeply when she passed. Children turned in their beds, dreams growing calmer. First, she walked past the baker's house. The scent of bread still lingered faintly in the air, even though the ovens were cold. The windows were dark, but peaceful. She paused there, just for a moment, letting the lantern's glow touch the doorstep. Then she continued. One step, then another, each one gentle, each one sure. She passed the cobbler's cottage, where Boots waited by the door, resting until morning. The leather smelled of work, of hands that shaped and mended. But now all was still. The lantern keeper moved on, past the weaver's home, where the looms stood silent in the darkness. During the day it sang, click-clack, click-clack, but now it dreamed. Everything dreamed here. The lantern keeper walked slowly, never rushing, never late. Then she passed the old well, where the lantern light reflected and shimmered like a second moon. She paused there every night, just for a moment, not because she had to, but because the village liked it. The well was ancient, older than anyone could remember. Its stones were smooth, worn by countless hands, countless buckets of water drawn up into the light. The lantern keeper looked down into the darkness, where her light danced on distant water. Two lights now, one above, one below, both the same. She breathed in the cool air that rose from the depths, air that smelled of stone and earth and time. Then she turned and continued her walk. The lantern keeper did not walk to keep away darkness. Darkness was welcome here. She walked to remind the night that it was safe, that nothing was expected, that sleep could come easily. Past the potter's house she walked, where clay vessels lined the windowsill, waiting to be glazed, waiting to be fired, but content to wait. Everything could wait until morning. The lantern's light touched each bowl, each cup, turning them golden for just a moment. Then the darkness returned, soft and kind. The lantern keeper moved on, past the carpenter's workshop, where wood shavings curled on the ground like sleeping creatures. The air smelled of pine, of sawdust, of trees that had become something new. But now the work was done. The tools were sleeping. The wood was dreaming of what it might become. The lantern keeper walked slowly, gently through the sleeping village. She passed the garden gate, where flowers folded themselves closed for the night. Roses, lavender, sweet peas climbing up a trellis, all of them breathing slowly, all of them waiting for the sun. But not yet, not for many hours yet. Now was the time for rest, for darkness, for dreams. The lantern keeper knew this. She walked past the schoolhouse, where children's drawings hung in the windows, suns and trees and houses, all sleeping now in the darkness. The small desks stood in rows, waiting patiently. Moved on, knowing the children the herb garden, where rosemary and thyme released their scent into the night air, was for sleep. She breathed it in, familiar, comforting, like an old song. The plants rustled softly, barely moving, barely breathing. Everything here knew how to rest. She continued, one foot, then the other, the lantern swaying gently with each step. The light moved across the ground, across stone walls, across wooden doors. It asked nothing. It needed nothing. It simply was. And so she walked, moving slowly, never rushing, never late. Past the miller's cottage now, where flowers still dusted the doorstep like snow. The mill wheel was silent, the stream that turned it flowing quietly in the darkness. Water always flowed here, day and night, never stopping. But at night it flowed more softly, more gently. Even the water knew how to rest. The lantern keeper listened to it. That constant whisper, that endless song. It was the same song her footsteps made, the same song the village breathed, a song of being without needing to become anything else. She walked on, past the beekeeper's house, where the hives stood in the garden, quiet now. The bees clustered together in the darkness, warm, safe, dreaming of flowers. The lantern keeper could almost hear them, that low hum, barely there, like the village itself, breathing. She paused, listening, then moved on. The lantern keeper knew them all, not by speaking to them, but by walking past their homes each night, by carrying her light along these paths, by being present. That was enough. Night after night, step after gentle step, the village grew quieter as she walked. The few lit windows dimmed, candles were blown out, fires banked for the night, everyone settling, everyone sinking into sleep. The lantern keeper continued, past the blacksmith's forge, cold now, the anvil silent. During the day it rang, metal on metal, sparks flying like tiny stars. But now it was as quiet as everything else. The tools hung on the wall, hammers and tongs and files, all resting. Even tools needed to rest. The lantern keeper walked on. Her shadow stretched behind her, long and thin, then disappeared then returned. The light moved like water, flowing over everything, touching everything, changing nothing. The lantern keeper moved through the village centre now, where the square opened up, wide and empty. During the day, people gathered here, talking, laughing, buying and selling. But now it was a pool of silence. The cobblestones gleamed in the lantern light, smooth and patient. They had been walked on for hundreds of years, and they would be walked on for hundreds more. They were in no hurry. Nothing here was in a hurry. The lantern keeper crossed the square slowly, her footsteps echoing softly, then fading. She passed the fountain, where water trickled from basin to basin, a sound like whispered secrets. The water caught her light, held it, let it go. She paused there, just for a breath, listening to the fountain's song. Then she continued, past the bookbinder's house, where pages waited to become books, and books waited to be read. But not tonight. Tonight the stories rested, held safely between their covers, patient, timeless. The lantern keeper walked on. As the night grew deeper, the lantern's glow grew softer, not dimmer, but softer, as if the light itself was getting tired, ready to rest, but not yet. The walk was not complete. She passed the last few houses at the edge of the village, where the gardens gave way to fields, and the fields gave way to forest. The darkness was deeper, the stars brighter. The lantern keeper looked up, just for a moment, at the vast scatter of stars above. They were doing the same thing she was, keeping watch, offering light, asking nothing in return. She understood them, and perhaps they understood her. She turned back toward the village, retracing her steps, completing the circle, past the same houses, the same gardens, the same sleeping doors. But everything was different now. Deeper, quieter, more settled. The village had let go completely, surrendered to sleep. One by one, the windows dimmed, the paths emptied, the village rested. The lantern keeper moved through it, like a dream, like something half remembered, like a story being told to itself. She walked past the baker's house again, past the well, past the cobbler's cottage. Each place she had been, each place that knew her light. The circle was closing. She passed the last garden, the last gate, the last sleeping window. Her footsteps were so soft now, barely a whisper, barely there. The lantern swayed gently, its light a small sun, faithful and warm, and when her walk was complete, the lantern keeper returned to where she began, to the place she started from each night. To the place she would start from tomorrow night, and the night after that, and the night after that. Always. She set down her lantern, watching its light steady and calm. The village was asleep now, safe, held, and she could rest too, waiting for the next evening, when the village would once again need her light, when the sky would soften into deep blue, and she would begin again, one step, then another, slowly, gently, never rushing, never late. Night after night, always the same. Always different. Always needed. And if you listen closely on a quiet night, you might still see her walking slowly, gently through the sleeping village, her light moving like a promise that the night is safe, that sleep can come, that nothing is required of you, nothing at all. Just rest. Just breathe. Just be. Darkness. Safe. Quiet.